I'm going to tell you what's still missing in Tesla Model 3. Also, Ford is trying to jump into the electric car game, and some fiery anti-Tesla hate. We're going to talk all about it right here, right now at E4 Electric, your #1 source for what's happening now in the world of electric cars. And we're going to start right now. Alright, we are talking about Tesla Model 3 once again, but before that, if this is your first time here and you're interested in staying up to date with everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, please consider subscribing so you can become a part of this community. Alright guys, so let's talk about Model 3. So, as we know, that car is still kind of being rolled out. Some things are being updated. As you know, there was a bit of a controversy about the trim update that they had for their premium package. And now Elon Musk was back on Twitter replying to some of the enthusiast and fan tweets. He does it randomly once in a while. And I guess there's still some features that they are working on that he says are core features. Now, I'm not aware really of anything in particular that's really big that's still missing. I know a couple of months ago they've added some major pieces to their user interface, including like FM stereo and other stuff, but right now I haven't heard anybody complaining about anything that's really bothering them there, though there are some small things that are missing. I believe some functionality for the little scroll wheels on the wheel, but one thing that Elon Musk said that we should expect in Model 3 relatively soon, from what I understand, are the voice commands. Now, there are still basic voice commands that you see in Model 3, that you see in Model X and in Model X, but he says that basically the goal is to be able to control everything, if you wanted to, with the voice. Of course, this is something that a lot of car manufacturers are trying to get into their electric cars. I mean, this is the future, especially Model 3, has the hardware to have a level 5 autonomous driving. So the further we get with autonomous driving, of course, the more important it is to have the everything being controlled by the voice commands. Now, of course, it's also safer, right? If you want to set your cruise control on a certain speed, or just anytime you don't have to take the eye off the road, and by this I mean interact with your screen, it's probably better. Derek in the chat room is asking, web browser, better nav, he's asking. Now, they have promised a better navigation system, I believe, for all Teslas, so that's coming up as well in the browser. So there's tons of features that Elon has tweeted about a couple of weeks ago that they're working on an improvement. Now, I don't fully understand why they're not so much in sync between Model 3 and then Model S and an X. I wonder if it's a different platform or a different type of the software that they're working with. I would have thought it would be kind of the same, because the interface is very similar and the features are obviously very similar. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be in sync or if they have to do some work to port it from one to another. So if they design it for Model S, they would have to kind of port it to Model 3. So it's not quite clear, but it's good to know that they're working on the voice command that will definitely let us control the entire Model 3 and hopefully the other Model S and Model X cars as well. Hussein in the chat room says, when is production going back to normal for Tesla? What is normal for Tesla? Can you define that? They're going about, what, 1,200 cars per week right now, and they're promising 10,000 per week at the end of March, and then 20,000 per week at the end of quarter 2, which is June, right? So that's that. Okay, let's move on to another story because it's really cute. Ford is trying to jump into this whole electric car game. How exciting. Now, first of all, let me just tell you, as you guys know, I was at CES last week, and Ford CEO had one of the keynote speeches, and they had a huge booth at in the automotive section, and yet we haven't heard or seen anything there where they would be talking about the future of electric cars. Now, originally they promised that they're going to come up with their first all-electric car by 2020, and they formed a team called Team Edison. Obviously, they know who they have to catch up to, but at the same time, now they announced that okay, we were just kidding. We're just gonna try to catch up much faster. So now they're promising that by 2022 they're going to have all electrified fleet, something that, you know, a lot of car manufacturers have already promised that they're doing as well, and they're going to have 40 cars in their fleet that are going to be have an electric drivetrain, which means either plug-in hybrids or fully electric cars. Now, this is great news for Ford, I guess. You know, I mean, I not guess. Like, yes, it's good news, but even with this announcement, Ford is still pretty far behind other manufacturers. I personally think they should buy either Faraday Future or Lucid to catch up. And hopefully that happens. There were some rumors about Lucid Motors talking to them, but they definitely need to come up with at least a concept to show us, or maybe even a working prototype, so we know they're serious rather than just kind of you know, talking about it, which at this point is not really anything, if you ask me. Derek in the chat room says, will Ford release an EV under the name convention of Model E? That's a great question, right? That would be actually a bit of a slap in the face for Tesla, but I would not be surprised. As you guys know, Tesla wanted to spell out SEX with their car fleet, but they couldn't get a Model E because Ford owns that, so they went with a reverse E, which is a 3. So that's a bit of a backstory. So that's funny. That's that the question is about, you know, Ford possibly using the Model E for their electric car, which kind of would make sense, right? Because you know, E for electric, get it? So yeah, that could happen. So Mike says dinosaur car companies are going to die. They can't switch to electric fast enough. You know, actually, I think it's the other way around. I think dinosaur companies are, because they're so big and so fat as far as, you know, their wallet is concerned, they can wait for a while until they figure out which technology on the market wins, and then they kind of jump in and take, you know, their fan base and their money and just kind of catch up really quickly. So that kind of can go both ways. All right, guys, let me move on to another story, which is a bit of a fiery Tesla hate. Fiery, I mean it in a full sense of the word. This picture was taken by one of the government organizations in Amsterdam on their Facebook page. Now, I don't know if you've heard of the story. There are a couple of, a few people targeted Teslas in Amsterdam. They set it on fire. There were 2 Teslas that were set on fire. They weren't that far away from each other, like close enough to set them on fire in one kind of a quick run, but not close enough where it was just convenient. They definitely had to, one was around the corner from the other, so you kind of had to target it. Unfortunately, I haven't heard that many stories about, Tesla hate, which is good, but this is one of them. I mean, of course, nobody got hurt. There were no more people in the car. So, I mean, that's the good news. And it's, the car is just a car. But this is kind of one of the first times that I see a story blow up like this, where, there were people who were specifically targeting, I don't know if they're targeting specifically Tesla electric car vehicles. Obviously, they didn't leave a note, but it's, it's disturbing news, but also I think it also means that we have arrived, right? The electric car movement have arrived, and now we're, just like with this YouTube, people were saying, like, if you don't have any haters, you're not doing it right. So, well, Tesla's got haters, so obviously they're doing something right. So that's kind of a crappy story. I really didn't enjoy covering it. It came out last week. I was not sure if I even wanted to kind of talk about it, but it's been in the news ever since, so I figured I'll cover it, especially because so many people ask me to talk. Coog Arpo in the chat room says there's always a small number of idiots out there, losers. He said, I agree, but this time, you're damaging property, or somebody could have gotten hurt, of course, and the building next to the car could have got caught on fire. So definitely definitely not something that I want to see ever, really. All right, let's move on to my favorite part of the show, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day comes from, this is a first time poster, I think, Irish Cockney Viking. Interesting username. He says, my question to Henrik Fisker would have been, where does he envision people being able to charge so fast? Is he going to build his own charger network? So he's referring to, obviously, my interview with Henrik Fisker. And, I've had a lot of people kind of reach out to me and say, well, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. I mean, first of all, don't forget my time was pretty, short with him. He had a lot of people, a lot of media who want to talk to him. But also, I have to tell you, I have noticed when I asked this question, and if you see my Byton video that was posted, by the way, I have posted my Byton video, my report from CES last night, so check it out. But just like with the Byton president and almost everybody who I asked, who I talked to, I had an interview with at CES, they all kind of dodged this question. And I have to say, I don't blame them because they don't have an answer. There's no answer right now to this question. They're behind. Do they have plans to invest into this ridiculously huge around the world network that Tesla has been doing for the last 5 years? I'm not really sure. And they also don't seem to be able to play well with other children and figure out how to combine their resources and create one, at least here in the United States. In Europe, there are some companies like BMW and I think Volkswagen and a few others have united and created a company called Ionic, and they're building fast charging stations. They're targeting 400 of them by the end of 2020, and right now they should be at around 50. So they are doing that, but there's really no certain plans or something that these companies can count on here in the United States. So there is no answer. Now, the one thing I want to clarify about this car is that the car that you're looking at right now that they have unveiled at CES called Fisker E-Motion, that car does not have the solid-state battery technology that everybody's been talking about. Fisker has just patented the solid-state battery that they're claiming can be charged to 500 miles in 1 minute, but that's not coming up until 2023. The car that you're seeing here that's supposed to be out in a couple of years still has lithium-ion batteries, and that one can charge in 9 minutes to 125 miles. So I just wanted to clarify that that's the people trying to confuse those two technologies, and they don't have really thing to do with one another. So there you go. I didn't ask him because, to be honest with you, I think I know the answer. I think you know the answer. So I figured I'd ask him other questions, like, for example, hey, how is this going to be different this time around for you? You have one bankruptcy behind you. That was a kind of a top question. And I also asked him why his price is kind of up there and is probably going to be missing out on a lot of customers. So, and he had good answers. So check it out if you had a chance. It is on my channel as a featured video right now. Mike in the chat room says there are EV haters out there. I've posted the pro electric vehicle threads and discussion forums. It doesn't take long for the haters to show up. I absolutely agree. However, I always recommend that we don't hate back, that we actually educate them on what electric cars are and what they can do for them. Don't tell them what they can do for you or what you're excited about. Tell them what you can do for them and what their concerns are about them. So just kind of ask questions. She said, what is your concern about electric cars? Why don't you believe that they're not going to be good in particular? What are you trying to get out of the car? And see, and almost anything that they say, unless I wanted to make a lot of noise, unless they say that, you probably have a better answer for them on almost in any feature of a car. And by the way, even if they do say that I wanted to make a lot of noise, you can always tell them you're not going to be concerned about the noise when you go in 0 to 60 in like 2 to 3 seconds. Your ears will not be functioning. It's going to be so fast. That's what I usually say. So let's see. So the PIE in the chat room kind of was asking me what's missing in a Model 3. He's also saying heads-up display and a hatchback option. Well, listen, here's the thing. A heads-up display, if you're really missing it, there are aftermarket products that can do it. And of course that, I'm telling you, if you get into this car and drive it, you will not need a heads-up display. The speed is displayed so largely right here next to you that you won't even have to take the eye off the road. That at least I didn't have to. And a hatchback option, yes, I know this. Tesla can't make every single car hatchback, but yes, I hear you about that. And they will have a Model Y coming out, obviously, to take care of that. But the heads-up display, you can have an aftermarket accessory if you want to. They make plenty of those, which reminds me that this video is sponsored, and this channel is sponsored by EvanX, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. I wonder if they're going to have a heads-up display pretty soon. But if you're looking to shop there, there's a discount code specifically for my community in the description of this video. And of course, if you want to contribute to the show, I really appreciate it. There's some exclusive material coming up on my Patreon page, so check that out as well. All right, guys, so this has been another exciting day for all of us to talk about electric cars. I'm going to see you tomorrow once again at 11 a.m. Byton and Fisker videos are already on my channel. Those reports are available, so check it out. Hopefully once you're done watching this video. I will see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. and don't forget to stay charged.